voting will be electronical and collated for real-time disclosure. I will now, as acting chairman and proxy for various shareholders, make a demand that voting on all matters to be considered at this 43rd annual general meeting, save the election of statutory audit committee members, be by poll. I would like to request that those moving motions, those seconding motions put to the meeting, those making comments or asking questions should speak clearly into the microphone. Before speaking, kindly commence by stating your name. There will be opportunity for questions and comments. I wish to appeal to each speaker to be brief and to please restrict himself or herself to one question only, so as to give others a chance to also ask questions. At this point, I will introduce the directors and the company secretary. The profiles of the directors are contained in the published accounts which have earlier been circulated. Permit me, therefore, to introduce the directors and the company secretary by their names and designations. Sitting on my extreme right are Alhaji Abacha Bulama, Director, Dr. Alexander Thermopoulos, Director, Mr. Toke Alex Ibru, Director, Mr. Ufoma Ibru, Director, and Mr. Kunle Aluko, Director. In addition, joining us virtually is the chairman of the company, Chief Anthony Idigbe, SAN. To my immediate external auditors, Mrs. Ugochi Alhaji, W.A. Ajani, Mr. Adelakun Lukman Adeshola, okay. And what of Mr. Peter Eyanuku? They are not yet here. The directors' representatives on the audit committee are Alhaji Abacha Bulama, Dr. Alexander Thermopoulos, and Mr. Kunle Aluko. I now call on the secretary to read the notice convening the meeting.
(10 a.m.) to transact the following business. Agenda: ordinary business. 1. To lay before members for approval the audited financial statement for the year ended December 31, 2019, and to receive the report of the directors, audit committee, and auditors thereon. 2, to declare a dividend. 3, to re-elect retiring directors, Dr. Alexander Thomopoulos, Mr. Ufoma Ibro, and Mrs. Fadike Olukbemi. 4, to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the external auditors. 5, to elect shareholder members of the audit committee. Special business. 6, to approve the remuneration of the directors. 7, to approve the appointment of the former Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Theo Eniola Netufo, as Group Managing Director. 8, to approve the allotment of 31,200,000 units of ordinary shares at 3 naira per share to Next International Limited, subject to SEC approval. Please take note of the notes to the notice contained in page 7 of the annual report by order of the board.
Thank you, Company Secretary. The chairman's statement contained on pages 13 to 15 of the annual report, which has been circulated to us. I want to believe it's been read and request that we take it as read. Thank you very much, sir. We will proceed to the agenda of the day. You will all have received your copy of the 2019 accounts of the company together with the report of the directors. Please note that there will be a slight amendment to the agenda. Item number 8 of the agenda. Item number 8 reads, to approve the allotment of 31,200,000 units of ordinary shares at 3 naira per share to Next International Limited, subject to SEC approval. This will be amended to read, to approve the allotment of 31,200,000 units of ordinary shares at 1 naira 12 kobo per share to Next International Limited, subject to SEC approval and acceptance of Next International Limited. I will therefore ask that someone please move a motion that item 8 on the agenda be so amended. Mr. Kunle Aluko moves. Would someone please second the motion? Thank you very much, sir. The agenda is hereby amended. Item number 1 of the agenda, to receive the audited accounts. To lay before members for approval the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2019, together with the report of the directors, audit committee, and auditors thereon. I now call on the representative of the external auditors to please present the auditor's report, which was circulated to all members with the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and distinguished shareholders of Ikeja Hotel PLC. I am Ikeja Ogugofo. I'm of Ugochukwu Ike and Co. Chartered Accountants. And I joined audit with Ahmed Zachary and Co. represented here by Lawal Kayode, who is seated in front. And on behalf of the joint auditors, I present to you the report of the external auditors on the accounts for the year ended 31st December 2019. I want to go straight to the audit certificates, which we have on pages 23 to 26. Is actually a 4-page detailed report, but I crave your indulgence to just take the key aspects of that report, the summarized portions. So I go straight to our opinion on the audit report. We have audited the accompanying consolidated financial statements of Ikeja Hotel PLC, the company, and the subsidiaries, that's the group, which comprise the combined statement of financial position at 31st December 2019, and the combined statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income. The combined statement of changes in equity and consolidated statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the consolidated financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the combined financial statements present fairly in all material respects the consolidated financial position of the group at 31st December 2019 and its combined financial performance and its combined cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards, in compliance again with the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, and in accordance with the requirements of the Companies and Allied Matters Act. The basis of our opinion, we conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the consolidated financial statements. We are independent of the group in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants and Code of Ethics of Professional Accountants, IESBA code, together with the ethical requirements that are relevant to our audit of the consolidated financial statements in Nigeria. And we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with these requirements and the IESBA code. We believe that the audit evidence we have is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. I also need to just mention this. It has to do with the forensic audit. We drew attention to the notes relating to the recently concluded forensic audit instituted at the instance of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, on the affairs of the company. The board expects the outcome of the investigation to provide a basis for resolution of all legacy matters which were the object of the investigation. Our opinion is not qualified in this regard. I take the final portion. We communicate with the audit committee regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identify during our audits. The engaged partners remain the Lawal and Mr. Ikeja. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I now call on the chairman of the audit committee, Alhaji Abacha Bulama, to present the report of the committee.
Report of the Statutory Audit Committee for the year ended 31st December 2019 to the members of Ikeja Hotel PLC. In accordance with the provisions of Section 359, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act of Nigeria as amended, the members of the Audit Committee of Ikeja Hotel PLC hereby report on the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2009 as follows. We have exercised our statutory functions under Section 359, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act as amended, and acknowledge the cooperations of management and staff in the conduct of these responsibilities. We are of the opinion that the accounting and reporting policies of the company and group are in agreement with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices, and that the scope and planning of both the external audits and internal audits for the year ended 31st December 2019 was satisfactory and reinforced the group's internal control systems. We have deliberated on the findings of the external auditors and have confirmed that necessary cooperation was received from management in the course of their statutory audits, and we are satisfied with the management's response to the external auditors' recommendations thereon, and with the effectiveness of the company's systems of accounting and internal controls. Signed, Alhaji Abacha Bulama, with my membership of ICANN as Financial Reporting Council licensed professional. Members of the audit committee are my humble self, Alhaji Wahaf Ajani, Mr. Adelekun Lukman Adeshola, Mr. Kule Aluku, Dr. Tomopoulos Alexander, Mr. Peter Ayanaku. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alhaji Abacha Bulama. As copies of the accounts have been circulated to you in accordance with provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, C20 Laws of the Federation, 2004, and the Company's Articles of Association, I hereby lay before this meeting the Director's Report, the balance sheet, together with the financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2019. My colleagues and I will be pleased to answer questions and listen to comments which you may have on the report and financial statements before we proceed to the next item on the agenda. In doing so, it will help to ensure that we give the right answers. If you could refer to the page on the report and accounts to which your questions or comments relate. Please keep your questions short and concise. Thank you. We'll now take questions. Thank you. have
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, members of the board here present, and those viewing us online, regulatory authorities, and fellow shareholders. My name is Prince Dr. Anthony Omoni Omojola, the National Coordinator of Independent Shareholder Association of Nigeria. I am pleased to be here today, and I wish to congratulate the board, management, and staff of our company on the third annual general meeting on 2019 annual reports and accounts. Despite all challenges, both internal and external, facing our company, and especially for the 3 kobo interim dividend already received after a long time. We congratulate Mr. Netufo on his promotion as Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer. This is a promotion well deserved, and we hope you continue to give your best to the company. I observe we are 7 shareholders here physically present who are privileged to make comment on the account, and I'm sure the directors here will also leave the comment to the other shareholders. So, in effect, those of us that we review the account, we are limited to about 3. So I want to urge the chairperson to allow us to do a proper briefing. Thank you. In terms of revenue, this decreased by 5.38%, or 711 million naira to 12.52 billion in the year under consideration, from 13.23 billion of 2018. There are further reviews. But as the foremost shareholder group, we made a comprehensive review of the account, and this has been forwarded to management. So I will try as much as possible not to go into details, but bring out some salient points. So we require further explanation on the significant decrease and what revenue is classified under one minor operating department, and what are we doing to turn around revenue in general, especially this particular time for sustenance. What happened in Abuja segment at the recorded decrease of 13.2%, or 789.16 million. On cost of sale, pages 29, 60 to 61. It is good to know that this decreased by 6.32%, or 602.6 million to 8.94 billion in the current year under review, from 9.54 billion the previous year. This is commendable, as revenue also decreased marginally by 5.38%. Further review of component revealed that operating overheads increased significantly by 37.8%, or 1.5 billion to 5 0.539 billion in the year under review. While we do not have any issue with increasing employees' costs, even though in this case it is decreased, what are the other operating overheads that increased significantly by 338% or 2.51 billion to 3.25 billion in 2019 from just 743.07 million in 2018. And what is the management doing to control this for enhanced profitability, especially with the reality on ground now? I make some comment on administrative expenses on pages 29 and 41. These increased marginally by 6.31% or 109.92 million from 1.73 billion in 2018 to 1.84 billion in 2019. While we appreciate that this increase is below the average inflation rate in 2019, we have observed significant increases in sub-controllable costs as follows. Rent legal fees increased by a whopping 467.89% or 6.73 million, and rate increased by 56.8% or 3.86 million, while other administrative expenses increased by 46.6% or 38.62 million. Please, we require explanation on all the above increases. I want to encourage management to continue to check all controllable costs for enhanced profitability. We require explanation on the increase of over 401% or 56.24 million in amortization of intangible assets from 14.02 million in 2018 to 70.26 million in 2019. Yes, I'm trying to skip some so that I can just bring out some other areas. What was the average occupancy rate at the hotel in 2019, sir? Out of the 340 guest rooms in Sheraton Lagos and Sheraton Abuja, which has 575 guest rooms. How many rooms do we have in refurbished wing of Federal Palace Hotel? And what is the plan of the board on the other massive buildings, stroke wings in the hotel, bearing in mind that the more a building is left for so long without occupancy, the more is dilapidation. Operating loss of tourist company of Nigeria increased by 45% as a result of increase in depreciation, as reflected in chairman's statement on page 14. Within this chairman's statement on page 13, we want to ask how far with the proposed renovation of the hotel and how has this impacted our revenue? And specifically on the forensic investigation, how has the forensic audit carried out resolved the company's legacy issues especially the outstanding related party loan of 7.04 billion as stated on page 55. This was 6.29 billion in 2018. I will be delighted to know more about the conclusion of the forensic audit. On a glad note, we are happy that the company did not incur any penalty in the year under review. I want to encourage our company to follow this path for future growth and sustenance. I noticed that Alhaji Bulama signed and read the statutory audit committee report. I want to urge the management that going forward, the other shareholder members or any of them should sign this audit committee, because most of the things here are director's report. So let the outsiders sign. I knew at the time the issue was that of a Financial Reporting Council making a demand of us, insisting on chartered accountants. This is a past event. We have challenged it at the court, and the court was favorably disposed to our demand. So henceforth, let's follow the path of honor. While trying to conclude, I still want to draw us to 2 pages. Page 64. Note 41. Page 64, note 41. Management stroke technical service agreement. In total, I can see that we are paying 4.5% to the company that is Starwood and the license and servicing company that are managing the hotel for us. 1.5% of total revenue and another 3% of adjusted gross operating profit. My comment here is this the international standard? Does it include training of our staff and incorporating them into management over time, or positioning the Nigerian employees into position management? And of course, what is the tenor of this agreement? Finally, I want to draw attention to page 72. That is the value added page. While we salute the company for a successful year, we also look at the application of this value addition here. Out of the 100%, 45% have been dedicated to pay employees. This is not too much in terms of the amount given to the employees, where we are looking at the percentage distribution. If 45% can go in block to employees, and we are still paying the providers of capital another 15%, that goes for 60. And we are having some percentage for deposition. What is left for the investors is becoming narrower and narrower by the day. What this tells us, and in view of the decisions of the board and management to always pay a paltry percentage of the earnings of the year to the shareholders, I want to urge us to do more, that is the staff and management to do more, so that we can increase our earnings to sustain the company growing up. So this will be good for us as investors going forward. Once again, I want to thank the board and management for this great opportunity and wish our company more successes in the foregoing year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, can we have Mr. Adebayo?
Chairman of the day, my very dear sister, the managing director, the company secretary, other directors, distinguished shareholders, both present physically and those who are joining us online. My names are Adebayo Adetunji Adeleke, to follow my friend. And it's a very exciting time to be here, because today, the dream of Nigerian shareholders is coming to pass. And it's a good thing to be one of the living witnesses to the realization of that dream. And what is the dream, Mr. Chairman? The dream is that we have longed for a day when Ikeja Hotel PLC will pay dividend to shareholders. And it appears as if that was going to be a dream that might not be fulfilled in a lifetime. So we are happy that in our very presence and lifetime, Ikeja Hotel is paying dividend to shareholders. Before, the unofficial head office of Ikeja Hotel was located at Surulere. Now it has moved to Olorun-Sogo. That is, we have arrived at the place of contentment. Chairman, I want to congratulate this board, the management, and staff for a job well done. But more importantly, I want to congratulate the board for keeping to their promise that very soon they will put smiles on the faces of shareholders. That we have seen with the interim, and that we are confirming today, even with the final dividend. A dividend of 5 kobo coming from Ikeja Hotel is like a dividend of 5 naira coming from some other companies, because we have waited for so long. Talking about the account, we are not paying from the blues. We were able to garner in 26 kobo any per share. And so it is good if you can pay out 5 kobo. But if you don't know the middle name of shareholders, their middle names are Oliver Twist. They will always ask for more. So to whom much is given, much is expected. So as we have started paying dividend, please don't go back. Just ensure that you keep on notching up the figure one at a time. On page 31, the statement of cash flow shows a very healthy business. We have a balance position of 3.22 billion naira net cash. And we're excited about that, because we're embarking on a very big project of renovation, and we don't have necessarily to go and borrow money to achieve this. And this is shown in the accounts. We have also grown our shareholders' fund by additional 600 million naira in 1 year. That's on page 28. And on the same page 28, we have increased our plant, property, and equipment by 4.2 billion naira in one single year. And the cost of moving work in progress to the asset column has taken probably a huge chunk of that money being added to the value on the balance sheet. That's about 3.96 billion naira. On item 8 on the agenda, Mr. Chairman, we have questions to ask so that the figures can balance. You know, when you talk about account, now they are changing it to statement of financial position. What we used to know and we grew up with and we are very comfortable with is balance sheet, so that it can always balance. You have proposed an amendment which we have adopted, but the figures are not aligning. If we are converting deposit for shares of 93 million naira to shares for Next International, you have proposed a 31,200,000 shares. Now, if the rate of conversion is changing from 3 naira per unit to 1 naira 12 kobo, then the quantum, the quantity that will be given out will now increase. And so I think we should have a proper amendment unless there has been a change in the deposit amount. But if the deposit is 93 million and the unit goes out for 1 naira 12 kobo, then we need to adjust the quantum that we're approving right in this account. And closely related to that is the fact that if you look at page, page 18, you will see the 6 major shareholders, those who own 5% and above. They already have 60% of the shares of this company in their kitty. Now, given this quantum, which is likely to be about 90 million shares, to Next International creates something close to additional 5% shareholding. Now that goes to 65. Now 65% of our shareholding will be held by 7 shareholders who are not likely to trade their shares. And so we are beginning to have some little problem on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange vis-a-vis the liquidity of our stock in terms of the float, the availability of the shares for trading. And so I think we need to ask the board to take a long-term look at that and see what we can do so that we can continue to have sufficient volume available for trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Chairman, what I'm saying is very simple. In your books, the nominal value of your share is 50 kobo. And so if the major shareholders are not going to trade, that value will ever remain 50 kobo. So those who create the value of 1 naira 12 kobo or 3 naira are the minority shareholders who trade their shares and thereby creating value. So we must make sure that we have sufficient shares in that pool for them to trade. And I would suggest that probably we need to go to the market and sell more shares, more money, create more liquidity for our shares, this business going forward. Mr. Chairman, I would like to say that taking it further from where Omojola stopped, the issue of the forensic audit, from what the chairman said, from what the external auditor said, and from the notes that we have read in this account, note 23, shows that the issue has largely been resolved. We are only waiting for the stamp of authority of SEC to tell us that this is the final position. And in line with that, I would like to urge SEC to do something about it very, very quickly. Because when they were setting up the interim board, we were told that it was going to be interim and within a space of 3 years. Now we have been on this for more than 3 years. And in the balance of the Christian faith, we are going to ask SEC, when are they going to restore the kingdom unto the shareholders? So we want SEC to do something quick in resolving this issue and taking a final position on it. Mr. Chairman, everybody knows the talk in town is about COVID-19 pandemic. And if there's any industry that this has affected, it has affected tourism and travel and transportation. And we play in this industry. What has been the impact of COVID-19 on our operations? What is our half-year result looking like? And what is the projection for the year 2020? As investors, I think we need to have an idea of how our business is doing. So, Chairman, I'm very happy on the agenda that we are considering the approval of Mr. Netufo as Managing Director. Mr. Netufo has been the engine room of this organization for so many years. I want to commend him for his patience. I want to commend him for his devotion to duty. I want to commend him for his ability to stay for the long haul. And I'm praying that all those qualities will translate to better returns during his tenure as the Managing Director. So I can give you an outstanding approval even before we get to that particular item. Chairman, very lastly, when I think it was in Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, where it is recorded, it says, the eye sees not itself, but by reflection, by some other means. So we now being your eyes, let us tell you what probably you may not see. And I think I said this about 2 years ago on this floor in the other room. We are constituting a lot of problem at our entrance to the public. It may not give us very, very good image. I said this 2 years ago. There is a need for us to move back our entrance gate. It's the gate, not the fence, the gate. Let it recede inward. Once you have 3 cars or 4 in a convoy wanting to gain access to these premises, we block the road. That road is an international road. It leads to the airport. There could be emergencies. And we can also not sacrifice safety. So we can't blame our security men for doing their job. We can't just open our gate to anybody to come in. So while we are trying to ensure security, we should not compromise the safety of other people. So please, I'm appealing again that we look at moving the gate backwards so that even if there are 3, 4, 5 cars waiting to enter, they will not constitute a blockade on the main road. So I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to attend this meeting and to speak on this floor. And I want to wish our company all the best. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. If we don't have a lady making a comment or asking a question, we'll go ahead and answer the questions. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prince Omojola, for your comments. Your comments are well noted. Thank you for your kind words. And to Mr. Adebayo, I will pronounce your name very well this time. I said it the other way around before. Mr. Adebayo Adetuji Adeleke. Thank you very much for your kind words. Thank you very much for your understanding of the situation. We've noted your comments. We've noted your comments. I will allow this MDCU to answer the questions that relate directly to the account while I answer the questions that are not directly related to the account. Prince Omojala asked question about the SEC, what the position is really, as regarding the forensic audit. I'm happy that Mr. Adebayo Adeleke answered the question. A lot of work has gone into that. After Deloitte completed their assignment, a report was sent to SEC. SEC raised a few queries, and we engaged the firm of Grant Thornton to look into those queries, after which we responded to SEC, and the matter is still with SEC at the moment. We're waiting for the final response from SEC regarding this matter. I would say that we're about 90% gone. We're only waiting for SEC's final response, and we'll be able to communicate that to you. That's about the forensic audit. COVID-19 pandemic, what has been the impact on our operations? Like we're all aware, this is nothing hidden. It's all over the world, especially for businesses in the kind of industry that we are in. This has impacted us negatively. You can see as you walked in, this is not the Lagos Sheraton that you saw last year. Everybody is being very careful. People are not traveling. People are not going out. So it has impacted us negatively. And right now, we are concentrating, like many other businesses are doing, concentrating on reducing costs as much as possible. We're paying attention to every nitty-gritty details of our costs to ensure that we reduce our costs. There are different strategic initiatives that are going on right now. We are grateful to Marriott for their cooperation. There are quite a number of strategic initiatives that are going on right now, which I wouldn't want to mention specifically, which has to do with how to position ourselves in order to remain in business in the future. All these initiatives are going on, and I believe that with time it will unravel and you will see the impact on the business. We have noted your comment on the entrance gate. At the appropriate time, when the renovation gets to that point, we will ensure that it is put into consideration. Your point on the issue of float is also noted. This is something that we're also considering. We keep talking about, discussing at our strategic meetings. This is on the table, and hopefully very soon something will be done about it. I hope I would hand over to the MDCU to answer the questions that relate to the account. Thank you.
The chairperson, members of the board, the distinguished shareholders, and excuse me, please, and the representative of the regulatory authority here present, I want to welcome you to our 43rd Annual General Meeting. I want to thank our distinguished shareholder, Dr. Omojola, for the analytical questions that touched almost every aspect of the account. I would, as much as possible, answer these questions, but for the exigencies of time, because we are doing virtual meeting, whatever I cannot answer, I'm so glad that by your statement that you have done a review and you are forwarding it to the management. We'll be glad to receive it. Our management is dynamic and flexible to learn. The only person that is not ready to learn is the person that is ready to go to the grave now. So management is ready to learn so that we can stay alive and stay focused and stay afloat. I appreciate you for that, sir. And I'm looking forward to receiving that. And I assure you we'll go through and adopt whatever we feel will add value to the management of this company. Once again, thank you, sir. Let me start by your observation on the revenue and permit me to also add cost of sales. In the example you have given, the references we have made, costs and revenue move in sympathy. When the revenue reduced, costs also will reduce, though marginal, which measure that we are also looking into this. And going forward, because we cannot amend the past, but the past serves as a lesson for today and for the future. So I assure you that we are watching it, and we have no other business. That's why we are here as management, to make sure that we bring about improvement in the fortune of the company so that the shareholders will continually be happy that they have invested into the company. Number two, you'd ask about the overheads. Of course, that's a serious concern to the board. And the board, in their several meetings, both the board committee meetings and the board meeting itself, there is attention, serious attention on the cost of running this hotel. It takes more than half of our time deliberating, asking, reviewing, questioning, screening, and also bringing a devastating impact of COVID-19 pandemic on our business going forward. Every board, every management has no other business. First and foremost, they must look inward and address and manage costs properly. This board has put in measures, what I will call a double barrier of the cost of the operation concurrently. We will not wait until costs are incurred and we begin to look at costs which are already sunk. Some costs are costs you just see and observe. You can't do anything about it. But what the board has put in place now is that the management will now interface as much as possible without interfering with the operation of the operator to ensure that before they embark on certain projects, the board must approve. The board must see, not necessarily for approval, but to look at the cost effectiveness and the value that project or action will bring to the company. So COVID-19, as bad as it is, and we always say the only permanent thing in life is change. Change will always come. So for us to survive and to succeed, we must be responsive. We must have a kind of strategic response to those change. And that is exactly what the board is doing. COVID-19, we have learned our lesson there, and we are putting structure to make sure the costs we have incurred so far are minimized, and going forward, we begin to sail, even if it is in troubled waters, but we will sail to safety. So then on the overheads again, let me just say, because I don't want to leave it without giving you reasons why the overheads are high.
In Nigeria today, to run business is very expensive. And I know most of you can bear me witness. When you're a businessman in Nigeria, you provide your security, you provide your power, you provide your water, you provide almost everything. The business climate is very, very tough. And the same things, they have to be maintained, and we have to buy diesel. And look at the cost of diesel in the market today, especially with what is happening now. The price is not stable. And your hotel is an international hotel. It's not an hotel whereby by some hotel, 10 o'clock, you put on the light. By 5 or you put it off. Sheraton is 24/7. Whether there's one guest there or 300 guests. So there are some costs that were incurred, that must necessarily be incurred because of the nature of our hotel and business. So what I'm saying is that power has contributed significantly to the increase of our overhead. Also security. You see the kind of environment we find ourselves. Our hotel must be kept safe. Not only that we are mindful of the security of the guests, we are also mindful of the safety of our assets. The board is so sensitive that at least apart from ensuring this company an asset of this company, we also take bold steps to ensure that 24/7 this hotel is safe from any form of attack or whatever. So that is why we have those expenses. Then, sir, you mentioned something that I have to agree with you. When you look at the value-added statement, and the staff is having about 45% distribution, it is now looking on this seriously. The board has taken a hard look at this, and currently it is being addressed, even at the board level. And we're also talking to the operators, and the board has given the operator some deadline on what they should do to make sure that this issue is addressed, so that the percentage can be more friendly to all stakeholders. So like I said, sir, strategy to cope now, moving forward, cost reduction. And for revenue, because we cannot continue to talk of cost without talking of revenue. At the end of the day, money must come in, and money can only come in when we sell. So our contract of sale to third parties, the hotel has been encouraged and empowered to ensure that they become more aggressive in their marketing. One thing we must know here is that we have a specialized market in this hotel. Our hotel is not for all Tom, Dick, and Harry. Our hotel is a business hotel, luxury hotel. And the people who patronize this hotel are people who come from businesses from abroad, all over the world. It's not for local. I'm sorry to use that language, but it's for business, serious business. So unless and until the federal government relaxes the ban on foreign travels, the situation may be a bit challenging. But as soon as the airspace is open, businessmen are coming out and going out, then our business will improve. And having said that, the board has also encouraged the operator that we should also look into domestic demand. We cannot just close our eyes against the local demand. So the operator have been encouraged to shop for customers from companies, from associations, from government agencies, international, multinational agencies, so that we can use that to also improve our revenue. And the operator have also assured us that we now begin to do some incentives marketing, whereby family can be encouraged to come and spend weekend and so on and so forth. So because of that, I won't be able to give the details, sir, but I want to assure you that the board is working hard to improve the revenue base of the company. Then on addition, and again, I've covered cost of sales, management. Okay, on the what is paid to the operator, the relationship between the owner and the operator is governed by a management agreement, which lasts for 10 years. So conditions and terms apply. That's what we can do now until the agreement comes to an end and the renewal is done. So all those things you said will also be noted. But as it stands today, we cannot do anything about it because it's covered by agreement. And we're also dealing with an international hotel management company that have thousands of properties.
25,927 naira 98 kobo, which translates to 2 kobo per ordinary share of the company, subject to withholding tax, is hereby approved. Will the shareholder please rise and second this motion? Yes, Prince Omojela.
I hereby second the motion. The name is Prince Dr. Anthony Omojela.
Thank you. May I now call on the members to vote on the resolution by poll? I will hand over to the registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just before we proceed with the polls, we shall run through the instructions for voting. An electronic device was issued to you at the point of accreditation or dropped at your table for those of you who were not here at the beginning of the meeting. The device has been activated and is ready for use. A resolution will be announced and voting for the resolution will commence after the announcement. On the voting pad, 1 represents yes, 2 represents no, and 3 represents abstain. You need not remove we have already, because you are selected proxies, okay, the shareholders that are here have a choice to vote in their patterns, but for the pre-selected proxies, we have programmed it in the manner that the proxies have nominated the elections to be done on their behalf. Voting for a resolution commences and ends in 30 seconds. Voting results will be displayed immediately each voting session ends. Unit holding indicated on the results slide is in both shareholding percentage and unit percentage. Thank you. Having announced the first resolution for dividend, we'll proceed now with the voting. Once I announce that voting has started, you vote, and then the count on the board will show when it ends after 30 seconds. Voting starts now. Voting starts now. Please vote. Voting has ended. On the resolution to declare a dividend, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented in unit shareholding by 1,560,546,000 units of shares. Thank you.
Thank you, registrars. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Item number 3, to re-elect retiring directors. As this item concerns me, it is my pleasure to call on Alhaji Abacha Bulama to conduct this part of the proceedings. Alhaji Bulama.
accordance with Section 285 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2004, Dr. Alexander Tomopoulos, Mr. Ufoma Ibru, and Mrs. Fadeke Olubemi, due to retire this year and being eligible for re-election, seek to be re-elected as directors of the company. Can someone please move a motion that Mrs. Fadeke Olubemi be re-elected as a director? Yes, Mr. Adeleke. Thank you so much. Will the shareholder please?
My name is Ihplc. I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Voting starts now. Please vote. Voting has ended. On the resolution to re-elect Mrs. Fadeke Olubemi as the director, we have 100% votes in favor of the shareholding, in favor of the resolution, represented in shareholding by 1,560,546,000 shares. Thank you.
Thank you, registrars. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Now, I will now hand over to the chairman to continue.
Thank you, Alhaji Bulama. Can someone please move a motion that Dr. Alexander Tomopoulos be re-elected as a director? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Ihplc. I move the motion.
Thank you. Will the shareholder please rise and second the motion?
The name is Prince Dr. Anthony Omojola. I do second the motion.
Thank you very much. May I now call on members to vote on the resolution by poll? I will hand over to the registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Voting starts now. Please vote. Voting has ended. On the resolution to elect Dr. Alexander Tomopoulos as a director, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented in shareholding by 1,560,546,000 shares. Thank you.
Thank you, registrars. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Next is Mr. Ufoma Ibru. Can someone please move a motion that Mr. Ufoma Ibru be re-elected as a director?
The name is Prince Dr. Anthony Omojola. I do, is it to move?
You move, yes.
Yes, I move as proposed.
Thank you. Can a shareholder please rise and second the motion?
I so do, Mr. Chairman. Adebayo Adetunji Adeleke. Thank you.
Thank you. May I now call on members to vote on the resolution by poll? I will hand over to the registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Voting starts now. Please vote. Voting has ended. On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Ufoma Ibru as a director, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented by 1,560,546,000 shares. Thank you.
Thank you, registrars. I declare the motion carried unanimously. We now go to item 4 of the agenda, which is to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the external auditors. Section 408 of the Act requires that the remuneration of the auditors shall be fixed by the company in general meeting or in such manner as the company in general meeting may determine. I hereby move that the directors be and are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the auditors. Will the shareholder please rise and second this motion?
My name is Ihplc. I second the motion.
Thank you very much. May I now call on members to vote on the resolution by poll? Thank you. I've just been reminded that it hasn't been seconded. Can we have someone second the motion, please? Thank you. I moved, she seconded. Thank you. Thank you. May I now call on members to vote on the resolution by poll as I hand over to the registrars.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Voting starts now. Please vote. Voting has ended. On the resolution to authorize directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented by 1,558,866,000 shares. Thank you.
Thank you, registrars. I declare the motion carried unanimously. We go to item 5, which is to elect shareholder members of the audit committee. Our audit committee consists of 3 representatives of the shareholders and 3 directors representing the board. The board of directors have elected their own representatives, and they are Alhaji Abacha Bulama, Dr. Alexander Thermopoulos, and Mr. Kunle Aluko. You are to elect 3 representatives of the shareholders into the audit committee in accordance with sections 238 and 404, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation, 2004. Accordingly, the company secretary received 21 days notice in writing before the annual general meeting and the following valid nominations. 1. Adelakun Lukman Adeshola, nominated by Peter Eyanuku and Odunuga Samiat Adebanke. 2. Peter Eyanuku, nominated by Orefunwa Babatunde Ademola and Salau Mohammed Adebanjo. 3. Ajani Wahab, nominated by Ibrude O. Moses. 4. Jibuno Godfrey Uche, nominated by Onwudiwe Anthony Ukachukwu. These were the 4 nominations received in accordance with section 404, subsection 6. The registrars, in conjunction with the external auditors, will assist in counting. You can only vote on a show of hands. 3 times for the 3 candidates of your choice. The candidates shall be presented one after the other. All you are required to do is to raise your admission cards to cast your vote. And Adeshola, where is he? Thank you. As a member of the audit committee of Ikeja Hotel PLC, would all those in favor of his election please signify by raising up their admission cards?
We may proceed. Thank you.
Let's lift up our cards if we're in favor of his election.
Thank you. We may proceed. Thank you.
The third is Mr. Ajani Wahab. That's Mr. Ajani Wahab. Shall we lift up our cards if we're in favor of his election? Practically everybody in the room. Mr. Jibuno Godfrey Uche is not here, but we can vote. Will all those in favor of his election please signify by raising up their admission cards? Okay. 1, I await results from the registrars and auditors. So the result of the voting to elect 3 shareholder members into the audit committee is as follows. Mr. Adelakun Lukman Adeshola. Number of votes, 8. Mr. Peter Eyanuku. Number of votes, 10. Mr. Jibuno Godfrey Uche. Number of votes, 0. And Mr. Ajani Wahab A. Mr. Ajani Wahab Abidoye. Number of votes, 11. Congratulations. From this result, the following shareholders have been duly elected to join the directors on the audit committee. Please stand as I call your name for recognition. Mr. Adelakun Lukman Adeshola. Mr. Ajani Wahab. The third person is Mr. Peter Eyanuku, but is not here. Thank you very much. Congratulations. We will now proceed to item 6 of the agenda, which is the approval of the appointment of the former Chief Operating Officer as Group Managing Director. Section 274, subsection 3 of the Act provides that the directors may increase the number of directors as long as it does not exceed the maximum allowed by the articles. The board appointed the former Chief Operating Officer to the office of Managing Director. I hereby move that the appointment of the former Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Theophilus Eniola Netufo, as the Group Managing Director be ratified and approved. Will the shareholder please rise and second this motion?
I rise with pleasure to second that motion. I am Adebayo Adetuji Adeleke. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I now call on members? Will the shareholder please rise and second the motion? I moved, you seconded. Thank you. May I now call on members to vote on resolution by poll? I will invite the registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Voting starts now. Please vote. Voting has ended. On the resolution to approve the appointment of the former Chief Operating Officer as Group Managing Director, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented by 1,560,546,000 shares. Thank you.
Thank you. I declare the motion carried unanimously. We now go to item number 7, which is the approval of directors' remuneration. As this item concerns me, it is my pleasure to invite the Managing Director, Mr. Theophilus Eniola Netufo, to conduct this part of the proceedings.
Thank you, sir. Chair. I hereby move that the remuneration of the non-executive directors in respect of the financial year ending December 31, 2019, in the sum as stated in the financial statement for the directors be approved. May I call one of our shareholders to please second the motion? Anyone, please, can you raise up your hand? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, before I support,
Thank you very much, sir.
there's need to ask how much. There's also need to find out whether it's the one for 2019 you are approving now or for the 2020.
We are approving, we are approving the one of 2019.
In arrears.
Yes.
Okay. So how much? Because you did not state it there. It's supposed to be stated. So it needs to be disclosed. Okay. If it's been formally moved, mentioned,
Yeah.
I so support. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. May I now call on the members to vote on the resolution by poll. And I will now hand over to the registrar to do that. Thank you, registrar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Voting starts now. Please vote. Voting has ended. On the resolution to approve the remuneration of the directors, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented in shareholding by 1,560,524,000 shares. Thank you.
This resolution is carried 100% by the shareholders. I therefore hand over to the chairperson to continue with the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we proceed, the remuneration of directors and the chairman is on page 62 of the report that you have with you. Page 62. Yes, it's on page 62. Thank you very much. Now the next item, which is the last item on the agenda, is approval of the allotment of the 31,200,000 units of the ordinary shares . 83,571,428 units of ordinary shares. 83,571,428 units of ordinary shares. To Next International Limited, subject to SEC's approval and acceptance of Next International Limited. Section 149 of the Act provides that the power to allot shares shall be vested in the company, which may delegate it to the directors subject to any conditions or directions that may be imposed in the articles or from time to time by the company in general meeting and subject to the provisions of the Investment and Securities Act. I hereby move that the allotment of 83,571,428 units of ordinary shares to Next International Limited be approved, subject to SEC's approval and acceptance of Next International Limited. Would a shareholder please rise and second this motion?
My name is Ihplc. I second the motion.
Thank you very much, ma'am. May I now call on members to vote on the resolution by poll? I will hand over to the registrars to conduct the poll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Voting starts now. Please vote. Voting has ended. On the resolution to approve the allotment of shares to Next International Limited, subject to SEC approval, we have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, represented by 1,558,866,000 units of shares. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the business of this year's annual general meeting. On behalf of the board, I thank you for attending this meeting and showing so much interest in your company's affairs. May I now call on Prince Omojola to say the closing prayer.
In Jesus' name. Father, we thank you for the grace to be here. We thank you for the deliberations we've had. We thank you for the opportunity given to each and every one of us to deliberate on the affairs of our company, Ikeja Hotels PLC. I will thank you for the directors, management, and staff that has baked the cake, which we are sharing. And we pray that going forward, the company will be more prosperous, while safety should be given to each and every one of us as we hide under your protective guidance. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Thank you for answered prayer.
Thank you very much. I now declare the meeting closed.
Congratulations. Congratulations.